Find the surface area of the portion of the function f at xy is equal to x squared minus y minus 1 that lies below the triangle in the xy coordinate plane, where these are the vertices of that triangle. In order to find this surface area, we're going to use the formula which involves a double integral over that domain region. So the first thing I want to do is get a picture of that domain region so we can decide our order of integration. So let's graph these ordered triples. We first have 1, 0, 0. We have 0, negative 1, 0, and 0, 1, 0. Now these three ordered triples are going to make up that domain region in the xy plane over which we're going to integrate. And we actually don't need to know what this surface area function looks like. However, if you were curious and wanted a little bit of information about that surface function, we could plug some of these domain elements into the surface function and get ordered triples that are on the surface. So again, while we don't know what the surface looks like, we can come up with a little bit of a concept drawing here just to illustrate that we're looking for the surface area of this little piece of the surface. Now, in order to create our integrand, we need to find the first partial with respect to x, which is just going to be 2x, and the first partial with respect to y, which is just going to be negative 1. And now we're ready to build our integrand. Let's still call this domain region D here for the moment. We haven't decided on our limits of integration, but the integrand is going to be the square root of 1 plus the first partial with respect to x is 2x, quantity squared, plus the first partial with respect to y is negative 1, quantity squared. And again, let's just keep it as dA until we've decided on our limits of integration. Now, let's look at the two-dimensional domain in the xy plane. So our domain region in the floor is this triangular region that connects these three vertices. If we consider a small rectangle that's floating in this domain region, we can think about floating it left and right. This would be with respect to x first, but if we do that, we're going to have different limits down here going from x is equal to 0 to this line than we would up here, x is equal to 0 to a different line. So I prefer to go up and down with respect to y first, so that we have the same lower limit line and upper limit line throughout the region. So we've decided to integrate with respect to y first and then with respect to x. In order to do that, we are going to need the equations of these lines. This top line equation is y is equal to negative x plus 1. This bottom line equation is y is equal to positive x minus 1. Since we're integrating with respect to y first, we are allowed to have x's in those limits. So we can just say that our lower limit is x minus 1 and our upper limit, I'm going to change that to 1 minus x. Now that we've added up the rectangles in this vertical direction, we're going to sweep it left and right and say that when this band is at its leftmost extreme, the value of x is going to be 0, and when this band is at its rightmost extreme, the value of x is going to be 1. So let's look first at this inside iteration, which after we simplify that radicand, we get 2 plus 4x squared. And we're integrating with respect to y. With respect to y, all of that is a constant, and so the antiderivative is just going to be y times that constant, which is 2 plus 4x squared. Our limits of integration are y limits, so this x minus 1 and 1 minus x get plugged in for y. So I'm going to pull this constant multiple of the 2 plus 4x squared out, and then plug the upper limit in for y, which is going to be 1 minus x, minus the lower limit plugged in for y, which is x minus 1. And so once we simplify what's inside that parens, we're going to get negative 2x plus 2. Now this is going to become the integrand for the second iteration, and it's not looking super easy, so the first thing that I'm going to do is distribute this radical into that parens to get negative 2x times the square root of 2 plus 4x squared plus 2 times the square root of 2 plus 4x squared dx. Now I'm going to split this into two integrals and add them together. The first, we're going to be able to tackle this with a U-sub. However, the second is going to give us an opportunity to practice our trig substitution. So let's begin with this first integral. Using U-sub, we're going to let u equal to the radicand, 2 plus 4x squared, so that du is then 8x dx. We'll need to multiply by negative 4 to get 8x dx on the inside, and then multiply by negative 1/4 on the outside to repair that. So when we convert to u, we're going to have negative 1/4 on the outside, u to the 1/2 du. Leaving the constant multiple on the outside, the antiderivative is 2/3 u to the 3/2. And now going back to x, we have negative 1/6 times 4x squared plus 2 to the 3/2 power, and then we're going to use our x limits, which were from 0 to 1. Let's leave that negative 1/6 on the outside and evaluate this antiderivative at the upper limit. So we plug 1 in for x, and then from that we're going to subtract the antiderivative with 0 plugged in. And when we simplify, we get 6 to the 3/2 minus 2 to the 3/2. And let's leave it like this for now until we see what that second integral yields. So now we're going to come back up here and tackle this trig sub. So let's start by pulling out that 2 and draw the right triangle that's going to help us to determine that trig sub. Since we have a plus inside here, we're going to want to create that radicand on the hypotenuse side of this right triangle and figure out what the legs must have been in order to create that. So one of the legs would be 2x and the other would be rad 2. And just a mental double check to make sure that this side squared plus this side squared does equal the hypotenuse side squared. Now in order to decide where theta goes, we want to make sure that we have a substitution for x in terms of sine, secant, or tangent. And since I don't want to involve this hypotenuse side, that would definitely complicate my substitution for x. And I'm going to use only these two sides. I definitely want it to be a tangent function. So that means my angle would need to go here in order so that tangent is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. And my substitution for x is in terms of tangent, which means that dx is going to be rad 2 over 2. Derivative of tangent is secant squared. And then we have d theta. So now it's time to convert everything into theta. The 2 is on the outside. We drop the x limits when we convert to theta. We have the square root of 2 plus 4 times x. And our substitution for x is rad 2 over 2 tan theta. I'm actually going to call that 1 over rad 2. I'm going to reduce that fraction just in case that makes our calculations a little easier. So that is x, and then we square that quantity. And now in for dx, we're going to put all this. Again, I'm going to call this fraction 1 over rad 2. But then I'll take that constant multiple all the way out to the front. So we just have the secant squared theta d theta inside. Now I'm going to simplify this fraction again. Now it's rad 2 in the top. And underneath our radical, now we have 2 plus 2 tan squared thetas times secant squared theta d theta. We can factor out a radical 2 and get 1 plus tan squared theta that remains under the radical, and then pull that other radical 2 to the outside to give us 2 out there now. 1 plus tan squared is secant squared, and when we take the square root of secant squared, we just get 1 secant multiplied by secant squared is now secant cubed. Now the integral of secant cubed is one that I have to look up every time. It's 1/2 secant theta tangent theta plus 1/2 ln of the absolute value of secant theta plus tangent theta. So let's distribute this 2 into the parens and then convert our angles theta back to x so that we can apply our x limits. So we can actually use our triangle to determine what secant theta would be in terms of x, and we already know what tan theta is in terms of x. So looking at our triangle, secant theta is going to be hypotenuse over adjacent, which is that radical 4x squared plus 2 over the adjacent side, which is rad 2. So when we convert back to x, this antiderivative becomes secant theta, which is rad 4x squared plus 2 over rad 2, times tangent theta. I'm going to call this square root of 2 times x, again simplifying or canceling out the rad 2 factor here, plus the ln of absolute value secant, which is again square root 4x squared plus 2 over rad 2, plus tangent, which is again rad 2 times x, and now we're going to apply our x limits of 0 to 1. So let's notice that we have a rad 2 factor that will cancel out right here. Square root of 4 times 1 squared plus 2 is 6 under there. So we have square root of 6 times 1 plugged in for this x, which is just square root of 6, plus the ln of, again, we'll have square root of 6 when we plug in 1 for the x, divided by rad 2, plus rad 2 times 1, which is again just rad 2. And now we'll subtract this antiderivative with 0 plugged in. Plugging in 0 here, we get the square root of 2. Plug in 0 here, we get that multiplied by 0, which zeroes it out. Plus, plugging in 0 here, we get the ln of rad 2 in the top over rad 2 in the bottom, plus plugging in 0 here, that product is just going to be 0. So we'll just close this up. Now here we can see this is the ln of 1, which is itself 0, and all of this then simplifies down to being rad 6 plus the ln. We can call this the square root of 3 plus the square root of 2. So now let's take this back up to the beginning and add it to the result from the first integral. And now that I look at them side by side, I think I do want to change this into radical notation. And so let's simplify to get a final answer that represents that surface area.